Windhager, Wood, inside 50. When you need Miller, what a mark!
G'day and welcome to the GameDay Squad Aussie Rules Fantasy Show. I'm Pitty and joining me to cover everything Aussie Rules this season is Haz. And together we are the Fantasy Bros. We've partnered with GameDay Squad to bring you everything you need to know to succeed in this season's Aussie Rules competition. Haz, how are you, mate?
Good, thanks, mate. It's been a good preseason so far, and we're on to our last episode of our preseason content, and I've had an absolute joy making it. It's been so much fun, and like you said a couple episodes ago, I'm ready for game day. I can't wait to get the season started in 10 days' time, I think we're at now. So yeah, really excited. How about you, mate?
Yeah, I'm pumped as well. I'm super excited, and this is probably the episode, not to take away from Hoss last week with our rankings episode, but this is the one that I've really penciled in our squad builder for the under-22s. I cannot wait to be talking about this competition. So let's continue on with our preseason content. Mate, do you want to explain to our viewers what they can expect from us in the lead up to our first ever live preview show next week, Wednesday, the 4th of March?
Absolutely, mate. So like I said, we're nearly there, aren't we? Before we talk about tonight's episode, though, what a ripper of a show last week's top 10 GDS player rankings was with Hoss. So much good information for GDS coaches, both new and old. So go and check that one out on YouTube, Apple Music, and Spotify if you haven't already done so. In this episode tonight, we're going to be picking up our best 23 players for the brand new under-22s competition in Game Day Squad with Janath from Supercoach Swordplay. So our viewers can better understand the players that are eligible for this competition and might be sitting on the bench right now in their clubs ready for opening round call-up. Now, keep in mind, this squad build will not be reflective of the team you should be looking at picking next week for opening round due to the reduced player pool. But don't fret, we will be showing the viewers all our under-22 squads for opening round as they currently stand at the end of this episode.
Yeah, that's it. And as I said before, I'm not kidding when I say just how pumped I am for this episode because, as we know, the introduction of these new special competitions in Game Day Squad, they are actually game-changing, aren't they? And this particular one has me very excited. So we might touch more on these special competitions shortly when Janath joins us, but I also wanted to mention that we sincerely wanted to thank everyone who has taken the time to purchase the Fantasy Bros first ever Aussie Rules textbook, which was released last Wednesday. We've been absolutely blown away by the positive feedback from GDS coaches, and we've just loved seeing everyone rip their 3 9-player common all-star packs in the Discord. And, mate, hasn't there been some serious pack luck attached with those as well? There are some incredible pulls in there, including what Janath packed as well, which is crazy, which I'm sure he might mention soon. But if you haven't grabbed a copy of that textbook, be sure to head to the Fantasy Bros website at fantasybrosau.com to purchase your copy for $20. Or you can bundle that with the Rugby League textbook, as Dylan and Stu have put in a heap of work on that one as well. You'll receive a discount of $10 if you do, so you can purchase them both for $30. And when you make a purchase, as mentioned before, the GDS boys, they'll provide you with 3 9-player common packs, all-star variety as well, which is valued at $21. So the season's closing in. Make sure you do that now and check out all the amazing content we have there for our coaches.
Yeah, you're not wrong. Some people have been pulling some absolute steals in those common packs that we've been the GDS boys have been giving away as a part of that purchase. And yeah, I'm still waiting. I've had some pretty good pack luck, but I haven't managed to pull an all-star, a big name diamond and a common yet. So I can't wait for that day to come.
Not for a while.
And I haven't yet, not in a common pack anyway. So definitely, yeah, some good steals for coaches. And like you said, I'm sure Janath will talk about that shortly when he comes on as well. But just a reminder to our viewers and listeners that our preseason pack opening competition, which took place during the team preview series, will be drawn next Wednesday on our first live show on the 4th of March. To enter, all you need to do is like and comment on our team preview episodes with who your MVP is, so you can go into the running to win some awesome cards. A few of those cards may have been featuring in this episode just quietly. By liking and commenting on all 6 team preview episodes, it means you can go into the draw up to 6 times. And if you purchase the Fantasy Bros textbook that we just spoke about, you will get an extra entry into this competition. So don't forget to like and subscribe across all our socials to keep up to date via @FantasyBrosAU on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Apple Music, and Spotify.
That's right. And if you're new to Game Day Squad, don't forget to enter the promo code on screen, FBAR26, to get yourself 3 9-player common packs to get your club up and running. You'll also receive a stack of bronze cards to help get your free-to-play AFL starter squad together. Now, mate, without further ado, it's time to get stuck into the Under-22 squad builder episode. and bring out the man who'll be showing us the way. Janath, welcome to the Fantasy Bros, mate. How you going?
Thank you, Pitty. Thank you, Haz. Appreciate the invite to come on to your channel and talk about the under-22s. Very, very pumped because I think this is one of the comps that I'm most excited about. Yes, of course, you've got your standard competitions, but actually being able to do with cards that you think, oh, one for the future when you pack them. Now it's the present, which I think will be super, super exciting moving forward from this season.
Yeah, for sure. And I know, Haz, we mentioned this as well at the beginning of the preseason and when these special competitions were introduced, just the value that you now get out of your packs because, you know, you're looking at where, and again, not just the 22s competition, but you've got so many more players now where you've really got a spot to play them if they, you know, play in a team like a Melbourne, for example, or West Coast who play a lot on Sundays, or they play, you know, Adelaide and Geelong, but they're maybe not in some of those top handful of players you're picking on a regular week in your standard competitions. You've now got spots to play them. So it's so good, isn't it? And Janath, you know, Haz and I, we haven't been doing this for very long and we don't like to pretend that we have. So can you give us a bit of a rundown as to when and how Supercoach Swordplay began and what your upcoming season of Aussie Rules content looks like?
Yeah, I joined up onto Supercoach Swordplay. DR and Spielsy were running it for, I think, since 2021, and then I joined in 2023. So this is my 4th season now with the boys. Roscoe's on board as well, and last year we joined up, partnered well with GameDay squad as well. For the 2nd year running, we also have a season guide, not to step on your toes too much at all, Pitty and Haz, but it's a Supercoach and a GameDay squad sort of guide. Also $20, and also comes with 3 9-player common all-star packs. So what I reckon we have a truce here is, I reckon what's better than 1 season guide? 2 season guides. So you can grab ours, you can grab yours, you can get 6 9-player common all-star packs just for doing so, all for $40 as well. So you're still making out even without reading the guide. So get on, read the guides as well. We got plenty of stuff in there. And I think our work complements your work as well in terms of you guys going from more of a statistical analysis. We're going more from like a forecasting analysis, let's just say. So very keen for what is to come and can't wait to crack into the under-22s here, boys.
Yeah, I reckon I'd just advocate for everyone to get amongst all the content available. Like I know I purchased your season guide over the weekend as well, mate, and I haven't had a chance to sit down and go through it yet because I like to make sure I've got some time where I can really digest it. But I can't wait to get into it, and I just recommend everyone support each other. And I think all the content that's out there, just, you know, as I said, the more content that's out there, the better it is for our community. And I think there's nothing better than just getting behind each other and supporting us along the way. So absolutely get out there, make that purchase, and rip some packs as well.
Yeah, and I must say, from your packs, I packed an All-Star Dane Zorko. So basically, it's a win-win scenario all around. It was the first All-Star that I've actually packed from a common pack as well. So sorry, Haz, your Sheasland Day cost can move over a little bit now, mate.
I bet you if I get 3-player common packs for purchasing your guide, I reckon I will get Jack Squat. That's for sure.
Drop the bottom lip.
Haz, you might have to try that one out, mate, I reckon.
Yeah, we'll see how that goes, and I'll keep everyone posted. But Janath, now the under-22 competition is one of 3 special competitions that have been added to the weekly lineup on GameDay Squad this season. Can you talk us through what your plan's going to be for the upcoming season, which competitions you're going to be playing and prioritizing? Because honestly, mate, I'm honestly struggling a little bit to think about what I'm going to prioritize. So it'd be good to get a little bit of insight into what your plans are for this season.
Yeah, so I guess last year I was playing Starter, Contendant, Classic, but over the off season went a bit sort of shopping, especially after the grand final, because a lot of cards were dropping for cheap with the intention of dipping my toes into Champion and Challenger this year. So going to throw my hat into the ring there, and then going to go hard in under 22s, I reckon. The All-Star Sheasel is a card I have, but it's a card that I don't know where to play. And when we talk a little bit in the future as to how valuable a Sheasel is in under 22s, given he's the only all-star card that is an under 22s player, I think that's something which I need to pay a fair bit of attention to. We'll also play your Sunday comp, and then also we'll put together a rabble of a primetime team. So I don't think my card collection is going to be up there with some names that I won't mention in the Discord in particular, but I'll put something in there in case Justin McInerney can win me the round 0 Friday primetime competition.
It's probably going to come down to that. Hey, I actually didn't think I could put a primetime competition team together, and I put it in last night, and I went, what have I done? Like I can't be playing those guys, surely.
It feels so wrong.
Yeah. But you never know. It could just be that week where, some of the big players don't quite fire and, someone like, maybe like a Jed Buse or someone just goes massive and you've got him sitting in your back line and you're walking away with $1,000 before the weekend starts. You never know. Now, let's get started, into this rule. I'll give you a few rules as well for this particular squad build. I'll be building it in the under-22s competition there on GameDay squad. So between the three of us, we're going to pick our best 23 for this new comp in GameDay squad. We're going to fill a team within the salary cap. But the thing is, we don't necessarily need to have the perfect or ideal salary. We can chat about that at the end in terms of where we might like to prioritize our salary for our viewers. But our intention will be getting the players that we want in there. And then just for those who may not be aware, we have 16.5 million in the under-22s competition. You must play players with a minimum of a silver rarity. So that will have a hit of 600,000. You can play all rarities above silver as well. So that includes your diamonds, legends, prize cards, and all-star cards. The only restrictions there outside of the salary cap, though, is that coaches can only have a maximum of 3 special cards in their team. And you just mentioned there, Janath, as well, that Harry Sheasel, he's the only all-star available in under 22. So really there's one all-star going around. And in your special cards there's a max of 1 prize card limit. So if somebody has a prize card, which you can probably talk to us about in a sec in terms of who those prize cards are, they're done. They can't add an all-star. They can add an all-star there to that, but they can only have the 1 prize card.
And I don't think there's any coach out there that is going to meet that 3 special card limit, given the fact that you mentioned the max 1 prize card limit. There's only 7 players that have prize cards this year that are under 22. So there's 3 Harry Sheasel prize card owners. There's 2 Will Ashcroft and 2 Colby McKercher prize card owners. But then you got Jasper Fletcher, Levi Ashcroft, Harley Reid, our good friend Hossie has that one there, and a Mateus Filippo. So only those 7 players have prize cards, and there's only 1 all-star card in Harry Sheasel as well. So perhaps with some under 22 players getting all-star cards this year, it may shift the balance a bit, but we lose Harry Sheasel for next year. So I'm not quite sure how we're going to be fitting these special cards in, and that's why I reckon a play like a Harry Sheasel all-star may become super valuable, even if it's only for the under 22s competition, let alone his value across all the competitions in general.
Yeah, isn't it? So are you thinking about your Harry Sheasel there in your squad?
At the moment, what I've got planned is to play him in there, maximize the salary as much as possible.
Yeah, I think it's a smart way to do it. Even just doing it from that point of view of you'll be able to get, more salary on other players as well. So
yeah,
I think it's a smart thing to do. Now, can you boys see my screen there all right?
Yes.
Yep.
Are you happy if I plug Harry Sheasel in straight away?
Yep, let's do that.
Because I think we could even
the all-star Sheasel here, Pitty. You might not give it back to me.
No, I'm happy to do it. I might take a. Actually, no, I should have said that. Yeah, we're going to actually play the players with the highest rarity. So if you boys can flick over your all-star or your diamond, I'm very happy to plug that in. But yeah, you may not hear from me again.
You're just jealous, mate. That's all right.
I am jealous because we could even start our team here if we're looking at Harry Sheasel in the forward line. We could even just go through a few of those players who we think everybody should probably be looking at playing in their team. So like think about as your locks, for example, for our under-22s competition. Yep. Harry Sheasel's the captain of our locks. And I'd probably say Will Ashcroft would be our vice captain, unless you would say Colby is.
Will Ashcroft.
Yeah, agreed. I think both Ashcrofts are locks.
Ashy.
To be fair.
Completely
I think
agree.
coaches have to really be, and then probably Colby is.
Yeah. I think if we're talking about maximizing salary in this competition,
I
think they're the ones.
Yeah. Two players that I'd add into
Yeah.
in the defensive line, Archie Roberts and Jasper Fletcher.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. I think those two as well. I really like Jasper, and you can see here, like, I know we're not meant to, but these are players who, a bit like you said, Janath, as well, I went out and identified these players end of last year, and okay, they could be really good value season, and I tried to stock up in their rarities. But as you can see there, Archie Roberts, I've only got him in a silver at the moment, so he's one that if I can get some more salary on him, I'll be looking at doing that. I think he's been playing, has he been going through the bit of in these preseason games at all, I heard, potentially?
Yeah, he has been. He's been looking really good as well, and I think he's going to be one of those players for Essendon that could just play well anywhere, and he's going to be a lock for our under-22s for a couple of years now, which is pretty good.
Yeah, I think he's progressing really nicely. I think he averaged 98 in his first 5 games at the end of 2024, and then obviously averaged 100 last year. So I'm expecting a slight increase probably this year, especially if he's got that midfield role. He looked unreal in the Pracky match the other day against Richmond, had the 28 touches. So hopefully it's bigger and better things for him this year. And it's obviously a bit of a cheat code that we get to play him in our defender lines as well. And he's probably going to be up there within, if not the highest scorer in the under-22s backline again for us this year.
Yeah, he'll be up there. He's a really good scorer and such a good ball user in the Bombers backline as well. I think they really like his ball use and his decision-making ability. So even if he's not playing midfield, if he's down back, I'm pretty confident locking him away in this competition. And I think he's a player that I'll probably look at as a bit of a pod in our standard competitions as well on some weeks, or if they've got a Sunday game as well. I think he's just such a talented player. So even outside of this under-22s competition, I really like him. And Jasper Fletcher, he's also probably a walk-up pick as well, isn't he?
Yeah, it was interesting. The Lions, obviously, they played Kitty Coleman off a half-forward flank. So it probably suggests that Fletcher's ball use is not going to be, because he was floated as someone that could move to a wing and be the one that kind of gets pushed out. But it looks like he's going to solidify that spot at half-back, and that just means it's great for under-22 competition this year.
Yeah, and it's good that Zorko's role probably won't change either. So I think we can be confident in what Fletcher will do because we've seen it before.
And it's annoying that Darcy Wilmot just misses out on the under-22s. But one day, in fact, he would have been a perfect complement to those three in the back line. But I just want to put out a couple of names in the midfield. In Levi Ashcroft and Harvey Langford, I think both of them are pretty locked into my side as players that Ashcroft, both of them into their second season. Levi just showed that he can score from anywhere on the ground, whether it's in the midfield, whether he's playing in the forward line. And Harvey Langford, with the departure of Christian Petrarca, Clayton Oliver, long-term injury to Jack Viney, Langford should play a pretty big role in that Melbourne midfield, and I'm happy to really there. And then we're talking about blue baggers very quickly. Jagger Smith. He's got to be a lock, surely, right?
Yeah, he's a lock for me, 100%. I think he was one that we flagged really early this season as being someone who is such an exciting talent, and hopefully, well, not anymore. There's a lot of hype around him. Hey, like even the way he started that practice match against the Lions, kicking that goal, he's just an absolute star. And some of the rumors around what he did at training, like we talk about that viral video of the Blues, after whatever it was, a 7-hour session, and they're purposely trying to hit miss targets and whatnot. But we also didn't see the fact that he absolutely lit up their training. And I think like between he and Sam Walsh, they were racking up 50 touches or something like that. He's incredible. He's going to be such a good pick. And I think he's one where we obviously didn't see him last year because of that knee injury. But if you actually look at some of the stats for our midfielders, you've got Will Ashcroft there who has that highest average over 100, but it really then sort of dropped off with Levi being that second highest averaging under-22 player. And then I think like there's every chance that Jagger Smith could be one of those top averaging mids as well in the same conversation as our Ashcrofts. He's just got that sort of talent.
Yeah, I definitely think he's going to be top 6. Anyone that can touch a ball at 50 times, any level of footy is a serious player. So definitely one to keep an eye out this year. He looks like an absolute jet, and him and Walsh are going to just run from contest to contest all day long. So he'll be racking up plenty of touches, that's for sure.
Now, speaking of Sam Walsh as well, I really like him as a pick for our standard competitions. And obviously, the Blues will get some primetime games and whatnot as well. But in terms of those new rules, Janath, there's been a lot of talk about how they might affect the game. And I'm sure there's a bit of that in your season guide that coaches can have access to. As I said, I'm going to dedicate some time to really read through that carefully. But what's your initial sort of thoughts on these rule changes and how they might affect the game?
Yeah, I think the game will become the AFL is aiming for the game to become more transition based. So what that might mean is a couple of twofolds. I do have an article on the ramifications of the new rules, particularly pertaining to the rucks, but also to general play. So we should see a lot more transition ball. I think someone like a Jagger Smith, his floor elevates even more because we saw in the game against Brisbane, your boys actually, we're premiership favourites now, by the way, because we bet the 2-time premiers in the preseason. But getting handball receives and moving in transition, getting contest to contest should, as you boys said, help Walshy and Jagger. I think the other sort of ramification that a lot of coaches aren't seeing a lot right now is I think the AFL is trying to increase corridor ball movement. Yes, there's a last disposal rule, meaning if you kick it or handball it over the line, it will go to the other team. That should mean that more teams try to go through the corridor. And this might help some of the players that are willing to bite off some kicks through there or take the game on down the line. So this is a bit more for speculative couple of selections here in the defensive line relating to the 22s. But Josh Well and Caleb Windsor, I think, are two players that both the new rules should suit both of them in terms of the way that they do play. And I know this is an extra play in a different line, and he was the second highest average in forward last year. But Joel Frazier, yes, for different reasons, Bulldogs are really pumping him up. We had Maddie from Inside the Kennel, one of the most trusted sources for the Bulldogs, come on our channel and talk about the Bulldogs team preview. And he couldn't speak highly enough of Frazier. He could be their second or third midfielder behind Bont, behind Richards, and he could go to the next level. So I think he's one that we may be looking to play platinum variety of him later down the line if the hype is as true as it is. What do you boys think of Weddle, Wins, and Frazier there?
Oh, mate, I think absolute great shouts. I think I was going to throw out Frazier as my next pick, looking at that forward line. Obviously, like you mentioned, he was the second highest averaging forward last year. And anyone that can be considered little Bontempelli, you've just got to consider him every single week. And especially he's going to get more mid-time this year. He just looks like he can have those ceiling games that we talked about last year. He had a 4-goal game against Sydney and really put the score on the board. So you don't want to be missing out on those, and especially in that under 22 competition. So I think trying to load up on salary on him, as well as, the ones that we kind of plugged in first, they're the ones you want to be putting as much salary on as possible, and then working out your little salary players there in between. But I do really like Caleb Windsor. He's looked unreal all preseason. He didn't have the greatest packing match, but I think that's like to be put aside. He's looked so good from all the content that I've seen, and he just looks like he's going to take his game and his scoring to another level this year. So I absolutely love that pick, mate.
And the fact Windsor's at the Demons too, we know their list has had some pretty serious changes over this offseason. I think they're going to want to really invest heavily into their youth, and Windsor's one they really want to get games into. And yeah, even if he didn't have the greatest practice match, I try not to read too much into pracky games. If I'm really keen on a player, if they're in the role, they look like they're in the team, like I'm probably going to commit to him in those early rounds and just back myself. Because if he's looked really good, especially this under 22s competition, I think he's a really great shout. And Josh Weddle, he's just got such versatility in that back line, so he's one that I've had eyeing off in my back line as well. He's one who I didn't have a card of, and I really had to try and scrounge around for his silver. And I think Frazier's a really interesting one too, because Janath, you mentioned that maybe down the track we could play his platinum, but I'm pretty keen to play his platinum in that first round, pending that he's there, just because of the midfield. So looking at their CBAs from last season, Ed Richards was the number one midfielder basically, but you could pretty much say he and Bontempelli are, and Bont's obviously the number one in terms of being that star player. But Libba and Adam Treloar, when Adam Treloar's fit, he commands a bit of those CBAs, but those two have really struggled this preseason with injury. So, there's every chance that Frazier is in that, starting midfield mix, or at least that fourth player in, and he's an absolute weapon when he gets those CBAs. So I'm really keen for him in this under 22s competition. Now, before you guys take anyone, because I haven't even had a pick yet, I've just been agreeing to everything. No, it's all good. I love it because I think this is great stuff for our viewers and our coaches as well. But Sam Lawler, I'm locking him in.
Yeah.
He's one that I think for the Tigers. Now, I was lucky. I'm going to put
Get
a
the
silver
diamond
here
in.
just to hide that diamond away. Yeah. Oh, you reckon?
Get the diamond in.
It's probably the only decent diamond I've got.
No, it's
that can go
not.
in this comp, to be honest. So, come on, Haz. Play nice. All right, let's go. Let's chuck Sammy Lawler in. I really love him as a pick this year. He's had a really good preseason because he had a disrupted preseason last year going into his first year. He only managed, I think, the 10 games just off the top of my head. But it was in those 10 games that I think it was from memory. If you don't count, it was 11 games, but he got injured in that 11th game. So I was thinking he's played basically 10 full games for the season. Out of those 10, he was kicking goals in 7 of them. Like, he hits the scoreboard. He's such a dynamic player, and there's every chance that he's getting some more time running through the midfield and playing. I know he's wearing Dusty's number, but playing a bit of a similar role to Dusty. Just, hey, start on ball, but you've got the license to push forward and just play off instinct and try and hit that scoreboard. So he's a player who I'm super keen to be looking at this year. And then I'm going to take a second pick too, sorry.
All right, go for it.
As I'm going to take this one now. Mateus Philippou.
Yep.
The poo.
Love it.
Are we all as keen on the poo as I'm keen?
Yes, sir.
I think you're probably his biggest fan, but yeah, sure.
Petey, do you have his
No,
prize
I'm
card?
No, that's not me. That's not me. I wish I did. I wonder who's got that.
What a
'Cause
card.
that has been...
It's an interesting
Yeah.
card. It'll come good this year.
Yeah, last year it would have been really frustrating. But no, this year, what a spot to play it too. Like in that under 22s competition, that is, you talk about cheat codes, Haz. That's one of the biggest ones.
He looked unreal in the game against the Suns the other night. He was in the CBA mix. He had 25 touches, couple tackles and a goal. So he's going to be great again this year, especially for the under 22s. And like I said, that average of 42 with obviously that's with rarity and multipliers on top. I think he's going to put that to bed, and his floor is going to be a lot higher this year.
Yeah, if he gets some midfield time too, that would really help him. I'm just, I wonder how much he'll get. We know what Ross, he can do some funny things sometimes, but I hope if he does go through that midfield a little bit and he's playing forward, he's nice and fit, and he should be, a good pick down there for our forward lines. Now, Haz, is there someone that you're keen on as well across any other line?
Before I throw my pick, I'm just going back to Sam Lawler. He's a great shout. From all reports, he's looking to take that game to another level. And like you mentioned, he was so injury interrupted last season, and it's going to be good to see what he can bring with another preseason under his belt with the spotlight on him. I'm just excited. He took that massive specky and the Pracky match against Essendon and set everyone's bottom lips wagging. So I can't wait to see more of that this season.
He's one that I think he didn't play a lot in maybe that second half, or they really managed him in that game.
Yeah, they did.
In terms of his minutes. Yeah, I reckon they're just sort of going, okay, let's just park the Ferrari in the garage and we'll bring him out round 1 against the Blues.
Well, that's right. Last year when they were doing it, like the preseason matches, he obviously caught one from Ruben Jinby that, derailed his preseason.
That's
so
right.
I think this year they're taking that conservative approach and, like you said, putting the keys to the Ferrari away for a little bit and keeping him under wraps. So making sure that he's right for round 1. But my pick, I'm surprised we haven't touched on him yet. He is the 3rd highest averaging mid from last year, and he's the person that gives away the most free kicks in the competition. But I definitely think he's still going to be a relevant play pretty much every week for West Coast, and that's Harley Reid. He just oozes class. He has, the capabilities of such big performances. We talk about ceiling games, and he's probably got one of the highest ceilings in the competition when everything comes together for him. He can impact the scoreboard, he can rack up disposals, and he just has those moments of flashy brilliance that, sets everyone back and goes, wow, this guy is an absolute star. So even though, like I mentioned, he does give away a lot of free kicks, I think another year in the McQualter system is going to be good for him. And I think he'll be a big, I reckon he's going to increase his average by at least 10 points and try and push maybe even close to 100 this year. That's my big take.
Yeah. Alongside the North Melbourne Kangaroos.
Oh, mate, let it go.
No, I do agree. I think, Harley Reid, he's going to have a big year, isn't he? I think he's one. Elliot Yeo, he's back, and hopefully he's going to be going through that midfield too. I just think Harley Reid really needs just that that extra big body, or at least experienced player running through the midfield with him, because it was too easy for opposition teams to get under his skin and really take him out of the game. And I think he'll just benefit if he's got somebody else there doing a bit of grunt work in the middle with him. And Tim Kelly has looked, I know we flagged him as a player who we maybe weren't so keen on this season, but they put up some highlights of him at one training session, and he looked like, the player of old at one stage, the way he was moving. So if we can hopefully see Timmy Kelly getting back to what he was doing a few years ago, that would be really, really nice.
That might have been for their B team. I heard a report that he was training with the B, so let's not read too much into that.
Look, I actually did hear a rumor that, there's a player we'll probably talk about soon, potentially. I don't know. It depends which way we go with our ruck line. But Cooper Duff Tytler, one of the top rookies there for the Eagles, he kicked about 5 in the intra-club. But I heard they had coaches playing for the other team as well or something. So I don't know how much we read into that.
Yeah.
Now, Janath, have you got a pick that you're thinking of, mate?
I do, but I'm gonna put you boys on the spot here. I'm gonna say a player's scores over 6 rounds. He isn't in this team yet. So at some point last year, this player went in a 6-game stretch: 140, 59, 137, 110, 110, 108 in a 6-round stretch with his base card.
I think I know who you're talking about. I think.
Who are you talking about?
Are you looking at the midfield line?
I am looking in the midfield line.
Is it someone that's potentially injured to start the season?
Yes, you won't be playing him in round 1.
Yes, I was gonna pick this bloke myself, and I think it's a great shout. It's Dan Curtin.
It is Dan Curtin. So this is an incredible stretch, by the way. So this was a 6-game run between, I just want to get the rounds up correctly, between round 16 and round 21 last year. He basically went at a clip of 115, like with the base card.
Yeah.
And it wasn't anything special. He wasn't playing inside midfield. He was just off the wing, but he was getting up and back down the ground, getting heaps of marks, getting heaps of kicks. And I think once he gets back in, maybe not straight away, he might not even come back in before their mid-season buy in round 10 or 11. But once in the back end of the season, I reckon Curtin's a card which we may be even looking to play Platinums off if he can get back to that form and play a bit of inside midfield like he was touted to before the kneecap injury.
Mate, like I said, I was going to throw his name out there. I just didn't know what the guidelines were in around injured players. But I am huge on Dan Curtin. I'm a massive fan. Before our first team preview series, I wrote up all my stuff about Dan Curtin, and obviously Pitty, I was with you, and then we heard the news about him going down before we recorded, and I'm like, well, I'm not changing it because I'm so keen on him. So hopefully he can get back from that injury. Big Dan Curtin fan, and I think he's a great shout when he is fit and firing, because I think he's going to be used inside that midfielder in that midfield as a bigger body. Just can't wait to see what he brings to the Adelaide Crows again this year.
Yeah, I don't know what was worse, hearing that news that he went down or seeing you go down after you hearing it. So I think you were just as devastated.
Mate, I think I was.
And I had to get you back up and say, come on, mate, what a pod
I had to keep powering through, that's for sure. I was very devastated.
Yeah, that's it. Sorry, I'll throw back. Janath, have you got another one you're looking at, or Haz, are you keen on to throw someone in at the moment?
Do you want to go, Haz?
No, Janath, you go.
Yeah, I've got a pod because there are some names that are probably more out there, but Lockie Jacks at the Bulldogs. Now, with Bailey Dale injured for round 0, he's been touted to be their main kick-in taker, with Lockie Bramble also on the sidelines. I'm not sure if I'd be playing a platinum variety off him straight away, but I think a player that's going to have a good role for his side should be one of their main designated kickers at the Bulldogs. Really high raps. Again, Matty from inside the kennel couldn't speak highly enough of Jacks there. So I think just one to monitor. Probably not the big name that some coaches may be thinking about, but he could be one of those players where I think with the 22 competition, anyone could win. You just need to nail the right rookies, basically, on field, or rookies or second-year players, and Jacks could be one of those players that gets a spike score but could equally get a 50 and sort of derail your week. So just one to look out there.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Sometimes you got to play the cards you have too, and That's the only Lockie Jacks card I had. So I think I'm actually really keen on him for that first round in particular, like even opening round, sorry. Just because there's every chance Bailey Dale might not get up
Yeah,
for that
I think
game
he's
as well.
ruled
I
out.
know he was, ruled
Yeah.
out. So I think with that, I'm actually pretty happy just to play that platinum. I'm pretty confident given his score on the weekend and the role and everything that we've heard internally from the Bulldogs around Lockie Jackson, what he can do. I'm happy to roll out that platinum and just cross my fingers and toes and hope that it's a good score. Because you're right, like that could be the difference between you winning that week and maybe not quite finishing in that top 10, top 20. And it's funny we talk about Colby, Will Ashcroft, Harry Sheasel, these really big dogs that we want to square away and lock away. If you don't have a diamond of them or even a platinum, like that's okay. Play the highest rarity you've got. And it might still just come down to those last 2 or 3 players in each position, just nailing the right 1 or 2 here or there, and that could get you across the line.
Yeah, completely agree. I think it's a great shout. Like I said, probably looking to play a lower rarity, especially if that that role comes to fruition and he does get those kick-ins and it looks like the main ball user. Once again, look good in the match sims, racked up plenty of touches. So why not, throw a bit of a pot out there, like you said, Janath. Like obviously, you've got your averages of 90 players, like 90-point players from last season that I'm not super keen on, and one of them's Ollie Hollands. I'm probably looking to play Jacks over an Ollie Hollands in round 1. And that brings me I'm going to round out our defender line with this last pick. So I've already mentioned Ollie Hollands. He did average the 90 points last year. Not so keen on him, but someone that finished just above him is Ryan Marrick. Yeah. I am keen on him again this season. He elite ball use out of the back line. He did have a role change at the back end of last season that kind of derailed his scoring a little bit, but all reports he's back on the halfback flank. Obviously, Tom McCarthy's moved into that midfield, so they've pushed Marrick back there. He's going to have the kick-ins. He's going to be providing the run, using those skills where possible. So I think it's a great pick in our back lines.
Yeah, that's it. And even I was actually looking at probably another Eagle as well. Like I think Marrick is in there in that top 6 for me at the moment for exactly everything you've just mentioned there, Has. But I think Josh Lindsay is probably another one you could be looking at in that back 6. I'm red hot on Josh Lindsay and just what he can do. And I think that there's every chance he could be in that top scoring 6 for our defenders come the end of the season in that under 22s competition. So, if you don't have a Lockie Jacks card, for example, or if you're missing some of these, Josh Lindsay is probably another one I'd be throwing in that mix for our back line.
Yeah, I think for me, like I do love obviously the pick. I think Lindsay is going to be a star. I think we're probably looking, or for me personally, probably only looking to play maybe 1 rookie per line to start, because obviously we just know how volatile some of the scoring can be in their first couple of games. So if you are looking to play a Lockie Jacks, I'm probably not looking to play a Lindsay alongside and looking to play someone that's been more established in the competition for a couple seasons. Obviously, Marrick's had that role before, good scorer. Windsor's got upside. So it's either Jacks or Lindsay for me. And it obviously, like you said, it probably depends on what cards coaches have.
Yeah, sure. Now going into, we might even round out our midfield here too, just while we're at it. So if we're talking about those rookies, could we be throwing a Willem Dersma in there as well come round 1? Could you throw him straight in there?
Yeah, definitely. I think
we got someone else we're looking at.
I think if you're playing in round 1, Dersma, Zeke Euland, Dan Annable, whichever of these 3 probably impresses most in the upcoming practice match of round 0 is probably where or let's just say in round 0, you're going to have to play Euland and Annable most likely anyway. If one of them impresses you could hold on to them and play them in round 1. The other name that I had down here, Pitty, is Xavier Lindsay at Melbourne. Playing off halfback.
He's one I like too.
Also playing a little bit off the back of stoppage. He could just rack up a bit of cheap pill, especially in the absence of Jake Bowie to start the season.
Yeah, that's a big hole, isn't it, Xavier? Having Jake Bowie out, like in terms of that market share of GDS points down back and who can access what. And obviously the changes that have happened in their midfield as well. We know that Jack Viney's now injured as well. He's going to be missing time. So a bit of change over there at the Demons. And yeah, having Xavier Lindsay run off that half-back line could be absolutely unreal. So I love that. I think those 2 Demons players, like you should definitely be looking at for your teams and trying to square them away. as well as Caleb Windsor in your back line. So it's probably typical of where their list is at the moment, and they've got a fair bit of youth coming through that side. Has anything to
Can I throw out another name? And it's someone that you've been pretty keen on, Pitty, over the last couple of weeks, from the GWS Giants, and is Harry Ralston. Obviously, Finn Callahan's injured, missing opening round. We know Tom Green's gone down with a season-ending knee injury, and Ralston looks like he's going to be inside that midfield alongside Clayton Oliver, and it's definitely one that I'm looking to target in the midfield, especially to start the season. So I'm going to make a suggestion that we take out Dan Curtin, because he is gone for a good portion of the season, and we fill in with someone that we're looking to probably play in round one. And I think we should fill that spot with Harry Ralston, because he looked really, really good in the pracking match the other day against Collingwood.
I like that.
Yeah, he did. Scored really well too.
He did.
I think, from memory.
Yeah.
Just for those coaches that are doing some really hard work and calculating all the stats for us before we get access to all that data. So, yeah, I think he could be a really, really sneaky one, to be honest, because there's a lot of coaches that might miss that potentially coming into opening round. And again, with opening round, there's obviously less teams available. So there's every chance a coach will pick Ralston without knowing what he could do. But he's going to be one that, could put up a massive score in that first round, or at least something that in our under-22s competition could get us a long way to getting a win.
Yeah. I think it's a great pick. And just another one, I'm just going to throw him out there because I am keen on him as well as a rookie. We haven't actually seen him yet from last year's draft classes, Josh Smiley. Once he kind of gets his body right, he's been touted as someone that can have, game-breaking ability and be a really impactful player for the contest. So just one to keep an eye on once he kind of, bides his time and gets some match fitness and, makes his debut and stuff. Might be one that we're looking to target later in the season.
Yeah, they've got a lot of good young players, haven't they, the Tigers, like Sam Cumming as well. One of their rookies from this year in this 25 draft class, he's looked really good at training as well, running through the midfield there. And they've just got so many good young players that we can definitely be looking at throughout the season. Now, I reckon we jump back down the forward line, boys. Before we come back to our ruck positions, which we know our ruck position here, this spot off the ground on the interchange, we will have to pick a ruckman for that position. It's probably going to come down to two names, which we'll discuss soon. And then this on-field spot, that's like our flex position as such. We can pick somebody from the defensive line, the midfield line, or the forward line that we are keen on to play in that particular position for the under-22s competition only. But coming down the forward line, I'm pretty keen to be locking in a player, Bailey Humphrey, from the Gold Coast Suns. I think that he's in his contract year now. He's going to be playing for a little bit of money to see what he can get himself for the next year. And he's one that, as I said, he might get some more, well, maybe not some more, but he'll be running through the midfield at times. And with Christian Petrarca coming in, I think he's a really nice one-for-one, like-for-like replacement in that midfield when Petrarca might be spending some more time forward of the ball. And he actually put up some really good numbers last year too at a number of stages, which, again, in that under-22s forward line, I think he's just a really solid pick. And a bit like you mentioned there, Haz, he's a player who we've seen him put up good scores before, although we have also seen some stinkers. He's one I hope we see a little bit more consistency from this year, but there's every chance you play him and he's going to pop a really big score and get you a nice weekly finish. How are we all feeling about Bailey Humphrey?
Yeah, love it.
Yep. Agreed there, mate.
Nice. Another pick as well. Riley Sanders is one that I'm keen on for the Bulldogs. I think he had a really good game on the weekend too in that pracky match that they had. And he's one that he gets a bit of a rough end of the stick, unfortunately, with Bevo. He gets thrown around a little bit, and he copped that sub vest so many times in those early days, and he was dropped here and there. But I just hope that he finds a little bit more consistency this season, which would be really nice, because I think in that forward line, and he's one that could also be putting up a really nice score for us in our under-22s forward lines.
Can't disagree there, Pitty. There is one name that I do. Well, there's two names that I want to fit into one spot, and I'll leave it to you boys to discuss which way you would go. Darcy Wilson at St Kilda or Murphy Reid at Fremantle. I know that both of them may be going into more tempting fantasy roles. Wilson a little bit, again, off the halfback / wing. And Murphy Reid could be pushing up further up the ground to come into stoppages a little bit. Maybe not as a CBA midfield with Hayden Young, especially coming into the side. with Andy Brayshaw and Caleb Strong, but I think both of them have pretty good fantasy outlooks for a GDS perspective this year. I don't know, which way do you boys lean if you had to pick that 7th spot? Or maybe we can go one in the flex and one at F7.
Yeah, I was looking at my list, and they were probably the two names that stood out to me as that last spot as well. Obviously, Murphy Reed, he had a couple of ceiling games, but didn't really have that ability to crack the 100-point barrier. Whereas I think, Darcy Wilson I think has more consistency in his game. So I guess it just depends which way we're going to lean. Are we going to lean for consistency? Are we going to lean for potentially that upside that Murphy Reed does have?
I'm a pretty strong Darcy Wilson. Like, that's where I would land. I think he's one that we've seen him score really well in the past. And I think it's also probably just the teams they play for. Like, I think Darcy Wilson playing for the Saints. The Saints are a really fantasy-friendly team. They score a lot of points for a number of players. So I probably have more confidence in Darcy Wilson putting up a good score. But I have probably less confidence in Murphy Reed. Not in terms of his talent, don't get me wrong. He's a star of a player, and I think that we're going to play him a number of times this season. But just in that Freo game plan and some of the stars they've got rolling through that midfield, when they're not putting up massive scores as a team, I just do worry a little bit that a small forward that can roll up might get overlooked some games. And, I'm probably more confident in Darcy Wilson to round out our forward line. I also don't have a Murphy Reed card, by the way.
I was actually going to say it's probably one reason I haven't really thought about Reed as well is because I don't actually have any rarities of him. So I haven't, in any of my additions of the under-22 teams, he hasn't been in there, but Wilson has been in probably every single one. So I think we've probably made the right call there.
Yeah, so again, if anyone's got a diamond Murphy Reed or something like that, and throw him over, I'm happy to stash that one away. But otherwise, who else could we be looking at in that first ruck spot there? If we're going to look outside of Murphy Reed, who could definitely be a play in that particular position, have we got another name? Or actually, I'll throw one up, sorry. I had a Zeke Ulan sitting in there when I did this first sort of build, and I do like him. I think he could be a good pick. But if we're going to follow that same sort of theory, has around maybe going to some players we've seen before and seen them score, Nick Watson as well could be somebody we look at potentially playing in that position. As someone we've seen before, how would we feel about popping a Nick Watson in that position?
I rate it. I think that's fair as.
I was going to say I don't love it.
No, there's actually, sorry. Well, what about another Hawthorn player?
Cam McKenzie's another one.
That's probably a better play.
I think
he's one we probably haven't spoken about too much of, and he's one that I was really keen on when we started building some teams for this under-22s competition. But we've seen some other players emerge throughout this preseason. Like if we look at that midfield line, Harry Rouse, and he's only one that we've really genuinely considered in the last week or so once we saw some changes occur. Xavier Lindsay as well. Like I think I was more keen on Harvey Langford than I was Xavier Lindsay coming into this season, but just with that clear role change that he's now got there, I really like him as well. So it's kind of bumped Cam McKenzie out. And I feel like we've been just waiting forever for Cam McKenzie to turn into the player we want. And he comes around every year and we go, oh, he could be relevant this season. And he just doesn't quite get relevant. Yeah. So he's one that I think he's probably one of those last few I'd be looking at, but I'd also be comfortable in what he's going to dish up on a week-to-week basis.
I've got a couple of other names as well that I think are flying a bit under the radar. One, because he's injured. George Wardlaw. Yep. On a good day, Wardlaw would be a lock in this side, but I just don't trust his body. And I'm going to put this one out there as a big Blues man. Adam Chera injured. Cooper Lord. Watch out for Cooper Lord because in the last 4 games of last year, now I'm just trying to get the data up on my end.
Well, while you do that, Janath, too, he's a player who I was watching the Blues last. I can't remember which game it was in particular, but it was a game where he got a bump in his CBAs and he was around the ball. And I remember watching him play and going, who is that? Like, he just looks like a really good player when you're just doing that pure football eye test sort of thing and you're not necessarily looking at his fantasy scoring just yet. But he can find the footy and he's really good around the contest. And I really like that pick.
Yeah. So he had a stretch in the last bit of the season. 3 games out of 4 were 90, 45, 97, 129. And he was subbed off in the game that he scored 45 as well, I'm pretty sure. So he definitely has a game conducive to fantasy style scoring. It's just a matter of, I think he should get a good run of it as we sort of move away from the likes of Chera and even the likes of Cripps in a way. He's been trained a bit more forward this year, given our key forward deficiency. So definitely one to keep an eye on. I may play him in the round 0 side, but it's a bit difficult. We'll wait and see based on what we have in store, won't we, Pitty?
Yeah, absolutely. Have you got any comments there on Cooper Lord there, Haz? And then we'll come to a bit of a decision as to where we're going, or if you've got another name you want to throw up as well.
I think Cooper Lord's a good shout. Obviously, like you mentioned, I think Blues have a couple injuries that could potentially open up some scoring for him. But I think I'm on the George Wardlaw train. I know he has been injured a little bit this preseason, but like you kind of mentioned, Janath, if he's fit, he's probably nearly locked into our side because he just throws everything at the contest. And I think he's got a game that is going to probably put himself in the top 6 midfield scorers again this season. He just needs to get through like pretty much and play every game and run every game out in order to do that. So I like that as potentially that pick at that flex spot in that ruck. The other one that I don't really mind is a young midfielder from the Tigers, and that's Kane McAuliffe. Yeah. He did score pretty well last season as probably someone that we didn't really even know or consider. And to be the 4th highest averaging midfielder that's available for us, I think he's probably going to be running through that midfield again this year alongside, Sam Lawler, alongside potentially Sam Cumming, as well as Taranto and Hopper. So potentially probably not one that I'm going to plug in. I'd probably prefer Wardlaw, but it's probably someone that I am keeping an eye on a little bit because he can score quite well.
Yeah, he was one that surprised me when I went and actually looked at the data for those top under 22 players in the midfield. He just surprised me with the average he put up, and I'm actually not sure what his role. I'm not sure if he'll get as much midfield time as we want. I'm sure there's probably a Tiger supporter that could comment a bit more on that in particular. But as you said, there's a number of players that will be rolling through there: Taranto, Hopper, Lawler, Cumming. There's just a handful of players that I just wonder how much he'll get. Again, maybe he was playing on the wing last year. I'd have to actually go back and double check. But anyone who's putting up an average of 80, someone to look at.
He is. He came out. There was an interview after their practice match against who did they play? Essendon on the weekend, and he did come out and say that he's pretty much locked into a wing, with the hope of developing more of an inside game with more opportunities. But I think Richmond aren't really looking to phase out the likes of Taranto and Hopper just yet. But once they do,
they need them, don't they?
I reckon that he may be one that really benefits from that.
Or if Hopper, for example, potentially maybe has an injury throughout the year, which has happened in the past, or if they have some sort of issues that disrupts that midfield mix, they may look to him to go inside. And maybe when there's a bit of that role change or shuffling, we could get ahead of the game and start plugging him into our teams once he's likely to go through that midfield in the middle.
I do have 2 more names that I just want to throw out there. One of them's potentially for that flex spot, and one is just a pod that I really like. Elijah Hewitt for West Coast is one that I think we could potentially consider for that final midfield or flex spot. I think he's just got a great potential. He's going to be a great player for years to come. Obviously, West Coast are in that transition or that rebuilding stage, but I think he's one of probably their better players alongside Harley Reid. Hewitt does have the tendency to push forward and try and impact the scoreboard. I would like to see him in and around that midfield a little bit more in order to be picking him, but he's probably someone that I'm keeping an eye on just obviously over the first little bit of the season, because I do think he has the scoring potential to, average 80 across the season, and that's going to put him within potentially top 6, top 7 scorers in the competition. And then my other pod is just in the forward line and going back to another Richmond youngster, and that's Taj Houghton. He got drafted with such big raps, and I think we didn't really get to see a massive amount of him last year, and he was kind of really held back from the games that he did play. So he's one that I think's had another good preseason, and is one that's going to increase on his scoring of 57 from last year. I don't know if he's going to be pushing that top 7 playable forwards just yet. But he's one to potentially keep an eye on for, first couple of rounds just to see what that role is going to look like.
Awesome.
Yeah, he's had a bit of a quiet game on the weekend too, I think, from memory. But I think, you're right. The talent's there. Hey, like he could definitely do something this year in our forward line. So we need to lock someone in. Are we happy to put in George Wardlaw for the time being?
Yeah,
Let's
I think
go,
so.
Georgie boy.
Yeah. Again, I just wish that he can, get himself
Stay
fit and have a
healthy,
really good
yeah.
crack at it. Because as you said, he can score on his day. Now, this is the hard part. The ruck line. Is it as simple as a Nick Madden or a Cooper Duff titler?
Don't really have many other options, do we?
Vigo
We got
Vicentini is the
Vigo
only other option,
Yeah.
but I don't know if he's going to play. Like, Nick Bryan's going to be back soon.
Nice.
Lockie Blackiston looks like he's got a foothold on the ruck at the moment. Madden
Yeah,
is
and
one that's
if-
making
if-
waves, though, GWS. I know that Briggsy came off with a calf injury. Madden might be our saviour in the ruck in round 0 because he's the only ruck that is under 22 that might actually play in round 0 as well.
Gets a game by default.
So what happens if no under 22 rucks get named? Do we just all cop a 0 for that spot?
There is the best 22 of 23. Now that we've got 23
True.
spots, we will at least
Yeah.
be saved. So whoever you got elsewhere, their score will be counted unless they go in the negatives.
Yeah.
I was going to say we haven't seen that before, have we? But we have Tom Lynch last year.
Imagine playing a
was
diamond
bad.
Tom Lynch. You get a multiplier going the other way.
Oh,
Oh, it's so
Oh.
bad.
you'd cry yourself to sleep, wouldn't you? That would be painful. All right. Now, boys, this looks like our team. So I'm going to quickly read this team out again, line by line, for anyone who might be listening on Apple Music or Spotify. So, again, as we go through this team, boys, I'll just sort of stop at the end of each line. And if you want to comment on if we're happy with that, if you want to suggest a change or anything of that nature. So starting in our back line, Colby McKercher, Jasper Fletcher, Archie Roberts. And then we've got Josh Weddle, Caleb Windsor, Lockie Jacks, and Ryan Marrick as well. And we've spoken about a number of people who could be potential pods in that back line there, and a couple of those rookies that we like as well. So I think that looks like a pretty solid back line there, boys.
Yeah, I agree.
Love it.
Moving into the midfield, we've got two Ashcrofts, Will and Levi, Harvey Langford, Jagger Smith, Harley Reid, Harry Rouston, and Xavier Lindsay. That is a pretty solid midfield as well. I think we've done a good job picking that one. And again, there's probably still a handful of players you could be looking at that we sort of rattled off there before. But George Wardlaw continues there into that one position in the ruck line. So new coaches, just make sure you're keeping an eye on that. You can play anyone from that back line, midfield or forward line in that on-field ruck position. But you do have to, unfortunately, pick one of three options in that other line. And, depending on what Cooper Duff Tyler might do, you could look at him. But I think Nick Madden might be the safe one if he's starting there for GWS. And in the forward line, we've got our team captain, Harry Sheasel. He has to be the player that you are picking first in that forward line, followed by Joel Frazier, Sam Lawler, Mateus Filippo, Bailey Humphrey, Riley Sanders, and Darcy Wilson. That's a pretty solid side. But Janath, how are you feeling with that, mate? Are you happy with that
I
one?
like it, mate. It looks very similar to the side I'm going to be rolling out in round 1.
Can't wait. Can't wait to see what we're all sort of putting out. And I should mention too, we're going to be going through what our opening round teams will look like after this as well. So we'll have a quick look over there. But Haz, you happy with that team, mate?
Mate, I love it. It looks like a very good team. I'm actually quite jealous that my team doesn't look like that.
It's like the old Simpsons meme.
Well, yeah.
It is.
Yeah, Zonald loves to share that one around, doesn't he?
One that goes through the Discord quite a bit.
Well, speaking of, I'm going to over. It does. I'm going to flick over there, and I'm going to share our opening round teams. Yeah. Now, Janath, there's something you don't know about Haz and I, and that is that our skill is just absolutely botching our teams at that last minute. So if we look at those teams there, starting from the back line, we've got, the main thing really, I think we've got that one difference there, Haz, if we're looking at that team. Am I saying that right? Or two, sorry. Two in the back line.
Yeah, the one I'm really concerned about, I don't know if Patterson's actually going to play come round 0. So he's one that I'm keeping an eye on, and I'm kind of keeping that spot open. I just don't know if I have many other playable options yet, but I'll have to work something out if he doesn't get named. But other than that, I'm pretty happy with the other selections there.
Yeah, and with our teams too in that opening round with that reduced player pool, we really are sort of playing those cards that we have at our disposal. And that's probably a reason why I've got Connor O'Sullivan and Alex Taru there as well. I didn't really have anyone else I was super confident on playing in that back line, whereas I'm pretty happy with Jasper Fletcher, Ollie Hollands, Lockie Cowan, Lockie Jacks, Josh Weddle, a few of those we discussed there. But those two Blues boys, I think that we've seen enough from them in the past to justify a selection in this opening round. I think they should put up a pretty solid enough score for us. So I think that was, pretty good. And then our midfield is pretty much exactly the same as well there has. So two Ashcrofts, we've got Harry Rouston, Jagger Smith, Zeke Euland, Hugo Garcia for the Saints as well, who could be a very good pick this year, and also Dan Annable as well there. So again, in terms of that, I was sort of playing those cards that I had in terms of their rarity. Just tried to make it work across the team, but it's good to see that we are similar across that midfield line, mate. It's just you've got that nice diamond Will Ashcroft sitting there.
Oh, yeah, sitting pretty.
Yeah, so good. And then I've gone Cam McKenzie in that on-field ruck position there. You've got him there in that midfield line. And then our forward lines are similar too. So that's one difference there. You're playing Aaron Cadman there, and I'm playing Nick Watson as well. But otherwise, we've both got Fraser, Wilson, Humphrey, Phillippo. I've got two differences there again. I've got Logan Morris, and you've got Ashton Moore, for the Blues there. So overall, very similar. Janath, what are your thoughts just checking out those teams?
Yeah, look, I think what we'll see that a lot of the players will be quite similar between our three teams. It's probably going to sort of be like what players out of, like, let's say 26 or 27 make it into the final 23. And then it just comes down to the multipliers. So just seeing which players are going to get higher multipliers might just come down to the cards that we have as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
absolutely.
I've definitely obviously put that up there as my team that I'm looking for round 0, but hopefully pull some other cards between now and then. I'm not super happy with some of those other salary as well. Obviously got a Platt Nick Madden there, and if he doesn't really play, I don't really have any option. I would love to lower that salary somehow. And then obviously I'm not sure about a Cadman or a Moyer as well, trying to potentially get some other players. I don't mind a Logan Morris shout or even a Nick Watson. But yeah, interesting to see how it goes. But that's where I stand at the moment anyway.
Yeah, nice. Now, Janath, mate, thank you for throwing you through your side. And I've just got there for you, subject to late changes, because you might make the right call there. But you want to talk us through what you've got there for your opening round?
Yeah, look, boys, looks very, very similar. I think I've got the same back seven as you, Pitty, if I'm not mistaken, unless you had
just Patterson.
One change. Patterson.
Yeah.
So Hollands, Diamond Fletcher, Platt Weddle. I think those two are probably the two. Fletcher and Weddle are the ones that I probably want to load salary onto to start off with. Then Silver Cowan, Silver Patterson, Gold Jackson, Gold Taru. I'm not happy with Taru. Let's just say I just don't know who else to play. Joe Fonte is one that I've got in the mix. Travali if he comes into calculations, but I don't think there's many other options. The two Ashcrofts and Diamonds, pretty happy having them. Gold Annable, Platt Jagger Smith, Gold Mackenzie and Silver Sequel with a Gold Cooper Lord as well. I guess the other player that could sort of make that mix that I've been contemplating is the Harry Rouston, and who to take out, whether it is Annable if he doesn't get up. That's probably the safest way to go. Nick Watson in the flex with Nick Madden as the ruck, and then Platt, Fraser, goals of basically everyone else, Phillippo, Wilson, Sanders, Humphrey. And I've got Harvey Thomas in there. I think he could be a sneaky shout with the injuries that GWS do have in the first round for the opening round.
Don't mind that.
And
then Logan Morris there. I think one of you boys had him in.
Yeah, Pitty had him in.
Logan in there as well. Yeah, I really like that team. That's looking like a really solid opening round team. And I think it's going to be so good to see where everyone lands, and particularly with their salary, because it's just going to be such an interesting weekend of footy and a competition.
And
really, in general.
If we were just to tear it down even a little bit more, if we look at the prize cards, there's no Sheasel. So the Sheasel's out. The only cards that are special cards you can play are basically Mateus Phillippo and all the Brisbane boys. Ashcroft times 2 for the Will variety, 1 times Levi for Cal, and Jasper Fletcher. So it's basically an even playing field across the board.
Yeah, which is so good. That's what we want, isn't it? Like that's one. If you can sort of fill out that squad, chuck a team in, because you just never know what's going to happen in that given week. And I think this is just a really exciting comp where we can really play those young cards that we might not necessarily get to in those standing competitions. And it'd be so good to see how we all go across the season, because I know Haz and I are really keen to give that competition a really good rip as well.
Awesome.
Has any comments before we move on, mate, to our pack opening as well?
No, more than happy to move on, mate. Let's get into ripping some packs.
All right, well, we go. Now, let's see how our pack luck is. I'm not sure how we're going to go, but we'll see if we can pull something quite nice. We've got our 9-player rare all-star pack here, ready to rip. Now, Janath, we're going to have a look at taking a row each. So if you want to have a think about which row it is you want, and then we can take those cards as well for ourselves. So which one did you like, mate? Top, middle, or bottom?
Oh, I'll go for the top one.
Yeah. Top one. All right. So we got a gold, and a gold, 3 golds. Let's
That's
see if
right.
we've got anything nice there.
Oh, Ed
Allen.
Allen. I think might be a 22s player.
Yeah,
Yeah, he is. Yep. Ed Allen could be one for the Pies if they want to give him some games.
Yeah. I think that's 2 under 22 players right there. Rechko's a 19-year-old.
Yeah.
Yep. Came over from the Cats in the off-season. He's one that's had a really good preseason as well. So it could be one just keep an eye on. And Seth Green.
That's right.
All right. Now, Haz, where are you going?
All right, Pitty, should I throw a spanner in the works, man? I know you love the middle row, so why don't I steal that off you and see if it changes our luck a little bit?
Let's see.
Haz talking about pack luck.
Yeah. Oh, there we go. Is that a plat there? Or is that a silver? Let's have a look.
It's a plat.
Plat.
Took.
Yeah, Tookie Miller. Kennedy. Not
Kennedy.
the Matt variety, unfortunately. And that is
the thrill seeker.
That's not bad. I don't mind that row, actually. It's pretty good.
Yeah. Happy with the Thilthorpe. Hey, that's actually a good one.
Oh.
Right, bottom row. Plat, gold, and
that's
gold.
right. Come on.
Let's see what we've got under here.
Oh,
Cody Curtin. Interesting.
Under 22s.
One of your boys.
Yeah. Not sure if he'll get a game, though. Just hard to break into that side at the moment.
Yeah, one for the future.
Just the line. One for the future.
One.
Jed Adams gold. And last card.
Oh,
there we go.
Not bad. Prime time.
Yeah. Happy with that. I'm hoping he can, get back to some really dominant scoring we've seen in the past as well of those, up to 120s regularly. That would be really nice from Timmy T, but we'll just have to see what he's going to dish up there in season 2026. So, Janath, just remind me, mate, at the end of this, if you throw up a trade for those cards, let me know, and you're welcome to have them.
Cheers,
and then
mate.
Haz, same for you, mate, of course, as always.
Yeah.
Now, we're going to jump back across and we'll round up this episode. But, in fact, just quickly get that up now. Apologies there, guys. But, Janath, mate, thank you so much for jumping on for us. We really do appreciate your time on this pod and sharing your knowledge and your expertise as well, because I know that when I started this Game Day Squad journey last year, sort of halfway through the season, and Haz, I think you were similar. Janath, your show was probably the one that I saw in that AFL space in Game Day Squad, and I just loved the content that you guys are putting out. And I know that, I've just loved everything that you've done in your space. So it's actually really awesome having you on and getting your perspective, and you've got such a really good insight to the game. So it's nice to have you share that with our viewers and listeners as well.
I appreciate that, lads. Once again, thank you for having me on. And very, very keen for some of the collaborations that we have going, not just in the works, but have going, especially with a GDS Dynasty Fantasy Draft, which we were just talking about offline. I don't know what strategy I've gone with, but we'll see if it works in 10 years' time. How about that?
Yeah, sounds good.
When Max Gorn is 45, is being rolled out there, we'll see what's happening.
Oh, well, it'll be good this year. That's for sure. You'll be laughing. You can cross that bridge down the track. That's fine. Now, mate, do you want to remind our viewers quickly as well where they can find you across the socials over there at Supercoach Swordplay? Because obviously, you need to be jumping on there and jumping on our website, getting onto both season guides and getting right amongst it. So where can they find you, mate?
Yeah, so you can find us on Supercoach Swordplay. On YouTube, you can find me on Twitter, JanathFernando4, and also at _man up for sort of our statistical / data perspective on Supercoach, as well as some Game Day Squad data on there as well. So those are probably the main channels to get us at. And also the supercoachswordplay.com website if you want to purchase our season guide.
Absolutely. And definitely get around that. As we said, that's just unreal content being put out there from you guys. And that's going to be my job after this, sitting down and going through it all and digesting that information from a GDS perspective.
Yeah, for
All right,
sure.
Haz, you want to close this out, mate?
Yeah, of course. So, as always, a reminder for our new users who are still looking to sign up to GameDay Squad. When registering, please use the promo code FBAR26 in all capital letters for 3 9-player common packs. Head to the Fantasy Bros website now and purchase the Aussie Rules and Rugby League textbooks for $30. Purchasing a textbook will get you an extra entry into our preseason giveaway. That textbook, again, covers absolutely everything you can think of and more, as we discussed a little bit earlier. Our next episode is our first ever live Fantasy Bros Aussie Rules round preview show. So make sure you are subscribing and following all our socials to keep up to date via @FantasyBrosAU on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Apple Music, and Spotify. Once again, thanks again, Janath. Appreciate your time tonight, mate. Love going through that. I've absolutely enjoyed that, and I'm definitely going to try and replicate some of those picks into my lineups come round one. And Pitty, as always, mate, it's been an absolute pleasure. And we've only got our first live show to look forward to now. It's getting to the real pointy end of the preseason, and I can't wait for opening round, I should say.
Yeah, me too. Bring it on. I cannot wait to have more footy on our screens and to spend all this time thinking about our picks over the preseason and just to watch it all crumble in those first couple of games. But nah, boys, thank you so much. It's been great fun, and I'm sure our viewers have got something out of this as well. So thanks again, gents, and we'll catch everyone next week.
See you guys.
See you guys.
Bye.
Thanks for tuning in to another episode by the Fantasy Bros. If you want to show your support, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this show on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcast. Also, make sure you check us out on TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook. Just search @FantasyBrosAU.